Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to talk about this morning the very sad battle between units and houses since COVID the last 12 months. Who was the winner? Who was the loser out of the two? We'll be back shortly. 2 seconds.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Morning Minutes, episode 372, the battle of house growth or lack of growth, houses versus units. A lot of people, I think forever, have always said, should I buy a unit? Should I buy a house? And probably up until this year, they've been pretty similar with their growth, but not since COVID, has it, Mark?
Not since COVID, and we won't draw to a conclusion yet, but we're going to give you some suburbs to have a look at and you decide for yourself. Now, fortunately, being live, we can look at your comments. So if you've got any suburbs that you want us to analyse for like 30 seconds, just pop the suburb in now and we'll tell you in the comment section. But Michael, part of the conversation we had was we didn't want to use suburbs that have had explosive change with stock. We wanted to use older suburbs. So Parramatta, for instance, established stuff, Over to you, Michael.
Yes, I was just looking at Camaray, so that's why I'm looking down if everyone's looking. Like Camaray, there was 120 sales, units were down 2.1%, but houses was up 14%. With the same down 5% in sale transactions, so fairly consistent, which is like they're totally different directions. One's up and one's down. If we look at a suburb, like
so that's a snapshot of 12 months.
Yeah, 12 months. So you look at something like DY down 3%, and houses down 1.1%. The number of sales in DY houses is actually up 22%. That's surprising.
So guys, the data source that we're using is good quality. It's called RP Data, and where RP Data gets their information from, we pay a fortune per month to subscribe, but where they get the information from is Land Titles Office. So every time a title's transferred, every time stamp duty is paid, that recorded sale is coming through to us, and that's what we're reading back to you. Give me some more suburbs, Michael.
Yeah, Neutral Bay. Neutral Bay apartments up 0.9. It's the first positive one I've seen, and houses up 2.6. We go to somewhere like
so houses performed better by almost triple the growth compared to units in the same suburb. Next one.
Blacktown down 0.9 for houses, units down 0.7.
Okay, so Blacktown houses are doing twice as better.
Campsie down 4.8 for houses, down 0.7 for apartments.
Yep. Now, you may be hearing that the housing market is exploding, and it is. Just bear in mind, guys, this is 12 months of data. So to sway, even if there's been a month or two of good, to sway 12, it needs to be even stronger because it was heading in a downwards direction fast for the first 3 months. So even if it's heading in an upwards direction fast for the next 3 months, it sort of equalizes a little bit. And also bear in mind, guys, that any sale that's achieved today, it's about 6 to 8 weeks before we get our hands on that data for it to be registered with Land Titles Office, for it to be registered as a growth figure today. So let's keep going.
Mascot down 8% in units, down 3.2 in houses.
So houses are done twice as better. Yep.
I liked Monavale. Monavale houses up 16%, units up 5.7. Bondi.
Yeah, that's huge.
Bondi houses up 10%, but units down 3%. It's very interesting.
Yep. Now,
Mossman.
you've also got medium rent sitting in behind houses and behind, but there's no recorded growth or decline on that, is there?
Well, if you look at Mossman, houses up 16%, apartments down nearly
Wow.
4%, rental yields
Wow.
down 7%.
Okay.
Where's another one? What have we got here? Newtown.
Yeah, I love that suburb.
Houses down 5.7, apartments down 0.7, rental yields down 11%.
So, guys, there's a pattern here. There's a pattern. Take note. The pattern is that in the last 12 months, houses are outstripping units with capital growth, yeah?
Yep. Kensington
Any other
units down.
suburbs we need?
Kensington down nearly 8%, apartments, 6% houses, rental yields down 7.6.
So, sorry, houses in Kensington are down 6%?
Yep, and apartments down 8.
Again, the houses is performing better.
Cogra, let's have a Cogra. Houses down 5%, apartments down 2.7, not bad. Rental yield down nearly 12%. Bexley.
Interesting.
So the only places that actually have growth are houses. Like there hasn't really been any unit market that's gone up 5%, 10%, 15%, but there's been a couple house markets. And generally when they've both gone down, units have gone down more. Ashfield, morning, Amel. Ashfield.
Yeah, Ashfield's a good established suburb.
Houses up 1.1%, units down 1%, rental yields down 15%. Crazy. Marrickville will be a good one. Oh, Chatswood was insane. Chatswood down 2.9% for houses and down 17% for apartments. You would think if you're going to look to buy an apartment, you'd look in Chatswood.
Hey, out of interest, you know who I reckon's been touched up? Sydney CBD. Can you give us that?
Yeah. Sydney, houses down 20%, apartments down 15%, rental yields down 15%.
So that Sydney CBD is probably the hardest hit that I've heard out of all the numbers.
Yeah, and Chatswood, very similar.
Chatswood
was worse with units.
Yeah, well, Sydney CBD, I'd really just stick to the unit stat, hey, because it's not really old. Can't really see any houses.
Well, Chatswood would be the worst.
Wow.
A bigger Chinese Asian population, more likely. Maroubra down 3% for apartments and houses down 0.5.
Contributed to that. So, okay, let's draw to some conclusions on this. Would you be silly buying in these suburbs that have been hammered?
No, I reckon no, because those suburbs are some of the best growth suburbs over the last few years, and obviously they're being hit hard. I wonder if it's houses. Units are doing worse because a lot of people are upgrading to houses, maybe because they want to bring the office inside. So if you typically work in the city, you would look for a bigger house. If you had an apartment, you may upgrade to a house so you can have a home office. I wonder if that could be an establishment, because I know commercial office deals are struggling as well. So you've got units struggling more so than houses and commercial offices, and you can have two in one with a larger home. So that could be a contributing
guys,
factor.
we are seeing, yeah, we're definitely seeing people upsize on their properties, so they're getting an extra bedroom or an extra study or an extra yard. I think that's definitely a contributing factor to houses doing better in this property market. That's a trend. My advice is I wouldn't mind going against the grain in some of these suburbs that have been heavily hit. So what we've identified this morning, if you've just tuned in, is are units doing better, are houses doing better? The houses since COVID.
And think how many incentives you're just cutting out, Mike.
Sorry. But what we've also, you got me?
Yep, got you now. Go. Yep.
But what we've also identified this morning is that the suburbs that have been most heavily affected through COVID have been very sort of unity suburbs like the Sydney CBD or like Parramatta,
CBD,
Chatswood, those areas that high density areas, as Anmal calls it. Now, in addition to that, what's Anmal saying?
High density makes social distancing hard and communal areas, and we shared air circulation. This is what I've seen as to why people are getting away from units. Very true. Yeah. Very good point. So anything where you got the settlement area. Yeah.
I reckon, but don't forget, guys, and I've been saying this a lot lately, we are purely a domestic market at the moment. All the sea change and tree change stuff that we've talked about this morning, it's all off the back of a domestic market. On the back of an international market, i.e. when our borders open, I think you may find it may trend more towards apartments. So particularly the being through the Asian Pacific area, I think you'll see those guys coming back in flocks, and they are attracted to apartments and not attracted to apartments at the moment.
And also think how many unit incentives there are with first home buyers, and it's still negative.
Yeah, that's right. All that.
Yeah.
And the first home buyers are generally jumping into to units, and it's still negative. So thank God the government's got these incentives and brought these introductions into that unit sector, because I think that would have been hammered pretty bloody hard. The problem with the unit sector being hammered hard is it doesn't kick on. So the cats that are selling the units are buying the houses. So the government very cleverly has stimulated that entry market, which is that unit market, which is then kicked along to this housing market.
Yeah.
And that's a conclusion.
That's a conclusion. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Admiral.
Units have done worse than houses through COVID. And I do think if it would be better to get into a unit maybe as an investment these days while it's running at an all-time low. Then you got land tax, Michael.
Yeah, buy the dip, as they say. Thanks, everyone.
Buy low, sell high.
Cheers.
See you, legend.
Bye.